Hello and welcome back to the Tesseract Qualifier series. We are now on the quarterfinals. So this is the top 8 teams that have been left. We had over 300 applications and we're only able to choose 64. And of these 64, we're now down to the final 8. Joined with me today is Denier.
Hi everybody, welcome back again for another exciting day. We're streaming all 4 matches of these quarterfinals. We're going to see some very exciting games today. We're going to see all 3 infamous teams which have made it all the way through so far. They're the number 1 seed in each of their respective brackets. So if they all make it through today, we will end up seeing an infamous against infamous semi-final.
However, there is one team that in there that is not from, the number 1 seed that is not from Infamous, and it's called Revival Esports.
Yep, and they will be going up against Hunter's Ace in the final game of the day later on. Just to give you a rundown of those games, it's going to be Infamous Spectre versus MegaEmpire first. We saw MegaEmpire playing yesterday, and they had quite a tough match to get through. They had to go through all 3 games, end up winning by a very good showing of a lane Blackfeather. Sorry. Second game of the day will be Infamous Stigma against Insomnia X. And third game will be Infamous Legion against Victoria's Secret, with Revival Esports against Hunter's Ace closing out the day.
I actually have a feeling all of these games are the first seed versus the second seed, apart from Revival Esports versus Hunter's Ace, which are the third seed.
So the seeding is definitely showing that these teams deserve to be where they were. Hunter's Ace obviously had to go through one underdog match to get here. But all these teams definitely deserve to be here and will be looking to go on to the semi-finals. There's a lot at stake, and I'm looking for some good big plays today.
Okay, so so today's the quarterfinals. We will be streaming the semi-finals, the finals, and the third place match next weekend. Okay, we've got the people in the party ready to go.
What are you waiting on?
We're racing Shinja.
Right there.
Oh, good, yes. No, that's not him.
No?
No.
Oh. Oh, there we go.
Okay, let's just jump into the draft.
So obviously, I'd say Infamous, the teams that we did see play, we saw them back in like the rounds of 64, rounds 32. They were kind of breezing through.
One-sided matches a little bit.
Yeah, they didn't have too much of too rough a time so far. Played a couple of comps where they didn't have to put in their all, didn't have to show it too much. We do see them banning Fortress first of all, which is obviously them maybe just going for a safer play to begin with, because Fortress can really help an underdog team come through here because he is incredibly powerful right now and synergizes well with most team comps.
Yeah, but they have picked up that Koshka. And what I remember from Infamous is that they played very aggressively. They were living in their enemy's jungle throughout most of the game, very early on.
Yep, I wouldn't be surprised if MegaEmpire don't respond with something very strong in the jungle of their own. They can't afford to sit back and just have a farm-heavy game. They're going to need to... Oh, there's the Blackfeather. We could be seeing another lane Blackfeather again.
You were very impressed with Pork Bun's lane Blackfeather yesterday, weren't you? I remember you raving about it.
Yeah, so he would go for the Book of Eulogies, just focus on sustain more than anything. He would go for the Barb Needle, a Dragonheart, and some tier 1 defense. Go into Serpent's Mask as his first item. He would just make sure that he got as much lane farm as possible, transition into that mid to late game through gaining more gold more than anything. So coupling that with an Arden, he's just going to be such a menace in team fights and really unkillable.
I think there's a chance we could be seeing Skyfeather today. We're seeing MegaEmpire soft locking that Sky pick, and Sky is not someone we see that much, just because her and Koshka are banned out almost every single game.
Yeah, I was quite surprised by the Celeste ban, but obviously, one of these infamous players must be a Celeste main. I've not been around in the SEA region quite long enough to know who's here. Sorry, but I do know that Infamous have been around for a while and dominating in most tournaments. So I wouldn't be surprised if there was some old tournament footage maybe which showed that to them.
Yep. So I actually have thought Infamous they would lock in the Ringo pick because that was open to them, but they've gone for the Scarf pick instead.
Yep. In place of the Celeste, obviously it looks like They were hoping for a crystal mage laner. Rubber the Monkey closing out the team of Empire with a Sky pick by the look of it. Yep. So there we do see a Sky Feather with Arden team comp, and on the side of Infamous, we are having Scarf, Koshka, and Catherine.
Yep. So yesterday, what did you think about MegaEmpire's play? How was their play style?
Like I said, they had a very tough match. They had to go through into a third game. The first one, they used their lane Black Feather. They won that one. The second game, I believe there was maybe a Crystal Fortress, but I can't quite recall. Not on their side, but in the opponent's side. So they had a very tough time. Didn't win that one, but the third one, they went with that lane Black Feather again. So I'd say they're working to their strength here with this draft.
Yep. So the double crystal here, we're seeing a double crystal here instead of into Spectre. And the thing with double crystal is that you kind of need to go for shield pierce a little bit earlier, especially because you should expect your enemies to be counter buying by picking up lots of shield very early on.
Yep, we will definitely see two shield pierce items very, very soon. The broken myths will be coming out very, very early on. It looks like we're definitely seeing why those crystal mage laners were a priority pick for Infamous. They want to be forcing this Black Feather out of the lane as much as possible.
And if we jump into the jungle, we see that they're trying to pull back from any fights, which is both teams are backing away from the shop very, very quickly. Nobody looks like they actually particularly want to go in very much. But we do see Casey, Rehan, and Rascal Dior heading up to the lane. I think we should expect to see a gank onto Port Brine very soon. And we see Casey, Rehan jumping in and the stun coming in. I don't know if they're actually going to pick up the kill, but Koshka... Scarf is going to pick up that kill there with a basic attack.
And Rubber the Monkey and Arctopus were just a little bit too late. It looks like Casey Rehan and Rascal pulled those two shot minions up around the corner, weren't quite as afraid as MegaEmpire to go in to get those shot minions. Like MegaEmpire held off for a few seconds, and that really cost them because they couldn't make up to the lane in time to protect Pork Bun, who now has a massive wave to clear right now. It's going to be a lot of gold for him. He has gone for the tier 1 boots to begin with here, and I'm not surprised. He's really going to need to dodge those Spitfires.
Yeah, we're seeing a lot of him experiencing a lot of trouble there. You know, the Zodiac is very aggressive. You know, we've seen that so far. He's just constantly trying to force him out of the lane. I'm very impressed with the Scarf play, actually.
Yep, it looks like nothing much has happened in the jungle so far. It's all about the lane, with Scarf trying to force Pork Bun out. Casey Rehan and Rascal are now invading a little bit into the enemy jungle, just as Rubber the Monkey really wants to try and teleport home.
Yeah, and I was a bit surprised. I was expecting them to do this a bit earlier on, especially because Koshka is a wonderful counter to this guy. You know, it's quite hard for her to pin her down, and Koshka can just jump in and jump out very easily.
Yep, and there we go. Rubber the Monkey is finally going to get to teleport home. I wouldn't be surprised Infamous will stick around, gain the back camps from MegaEmpire here. I think they just gave that up a little bit too easily without much of a fight, honestly.
Yeah, I can get the impression that MegaEmpire just kind of wanted to back off from any fights until they kind of reach the late game where Blackfeather kind of gets more of his items, especially because, you know, we can see the Scarf is giving him a hard time.
Yeah, well, on the counter to that, Scarf is also going to transition to the late game very, very well. So if this Blackfeather does manage to get the same items as he has previously, does manage to become that late game menace that we saw so much of yesterday, so will Scarf. Scarf will be taking chunks of his health unless he invests a heck of a lot into crystal defense. But those long fights as well are going to be stacking broken myth stacks once they get those. So I'm not too sure who's going to have this late game. Koshka dropping off will be the key here, I think, for MegaEmpire in MegaEmpire's favor.
Yeah, what we're seeing right now is that what I really like is we're seeing Koshka going into MegaEmpire's jungle, and Scarf is actually rotating down to kind of keep their backs safe. Otherwise, you know, it kind of leaves them at risk for Sky and Arden.
Yep, but Koshka is alone right now, and it looks like she's been caught out by Sky and Arden. And here's Sky with the Sewer Strike, followed by Forward Barrage. Rubber the Monkey is going down very, very low. Kissy Rehan is one level ahead, but here comes Pork Bun to join them, and it was a 3v1, and that is a 1 kill going over inside of MegaEmpire.
Yeah, Koshka wasn't quite able to 1v3 there. Let me just see, Catherine joined down maybe a little bit too late to try and save KZ.
Yep, she is hanging around in the lane right now. I think that was pretty good in not exactly defense of their jungle, but just punishing Koshka for getting a little bit overconfident. They hadn't had too many successful invades. It was one invade that they'd managed to pull off, and they were trying to gain the whole jungle by herself on the back of that.
Yes, and you know, Koshka was able to pick up the 2 minions before dying, though, so maybe it wasn't entirely worthless.
Oh yeah, she definitely got something out of it, which was good. But
Especially in the early
yeah.
on when you don't get much from the gold bounties. I think they got the slight advantage there and the XP, but she should be a little bit more cautious from now on. She has to know where the Sky and Arden are.
Yep, possibly Koshka will have to invest in a bit of vision as well as the Catherine, but what I do like is that they picked this Sky last, and they picked it knowing that they were against the Catherine. They were showing Rhyme for a while, not sure if that was just a cover or anything, but Sky into Catherine is very, very strong. If Sky gets like a Frostburn very early on, first item, that's quite a common item to get, and it means that anytime Catherine tries to engage, she's got to go in a straight line at Sky or Blackfeather. And if with a Frostburn, Sky can lock her onto her, then she's not going to be getting anywhere and taking a lot of damage underneath her Stormguard.
And we're seeing a little bit of a skirmish there with Koshka and Catherine against the Sky. And Sky's taking a lot of damage, using that forward brush kind of like force him to back off there. But this does leave them open to pick up their minions in the back.
Yep, I am so far questioning this guy a little bit in her forward barrage placements. You've got, she's doing very, very well at the repositioning with Suri Strike, but when she's in a channel, like a very thin area of the map, you won't see the full utilization of like using that channel and going directly down it and then shutting the enemy into where she wants them to go. Instead, she'll aim directly at the enemy, and the enemy then have like more angles to escape from it.
Yep, and Sky, she's very powerful early game, to be honest, and I'm not seeing her taking full advantage of this.
Well, against the Koshka, I think both of them need to be a bit more careful.
Well, we're definitely seeing her being careful and Koshka not being as careful, to be honest.
Yeah, well, it is showing with Koshka hitting level 6 before Sky, Blackfeather and Scarf both 6 as well in the lane. So there is some big power spikes right now. Koshka finishing off her Aftershock, and she is invading all on her own to try and utilize that power.
Yeah, we kind of finds it comes out into Rubber Monkey, but it's a 1v2 situation. Actually, 3v2 situation. Scarf rotates down. They're able to finish up the kill onto Sky, and Archboss is running for his life now. I'm not sure if he's going to be able to finish up the kill. Zodiac taking a little bit of damage there from Pork Bun, but Koshka is determined to finish the kill, and Catherine is actually the one to pick up the kill there onto Arden, leaving Pork Bun the only one left alive.
Yep, this definitely seems familiar from yesterday. He was always the one surviving, always the most sustained in a team fight, always came out full health, which you can see again, like, he just goes to the lane, hits a couple of minions, and he's got full health again. I mean, that's pretty good for him in the sense of farming, because he is at 67 CS to Scarf 61, and considering he's against that Crystal Mage laner who has been pestering him so much, I think he's doing very, very well.
Yep, and also we just saw Infamous Spectre there picking up the gold mine, giving them a 228 gold payout, just increasing that gold lead a little bit more. And off the back of that, we saw Scarf picking up the Broken Myth and Catherine with the Fountain of Renewal. A really nice power respect there for both of the heroes.
Yep, I wouldn't be surprised to see Koshka going for a Fountain herself. Maybe even Atlas Pauldrons. I think the problem here is they're going to need to target Sky first once Sky has a lot of items, and Pork Bun is just going to be such a menace in the backline all the time, and Rubber the Monkey's taking a heck of a lot of damage from KZ Rehan there.
Yeah, Pork Bun and Arthurverse are on the run as we're seeing massive chunks of damage coming off him from KZ Rehan. I don't think he's going to die for this, but the fact Dragon's Breath is coming out, and it looks like they're actually going to finish off the kill onto Arden, but poor Catherine taking a lot of damage there from the turret.
And Pork Bun was just out of range of that last Spitfire right there. I do think that was really nice team play from Infamous, especially from the Zodiac right there. He managed to stack up his Broken Myth a couple of seconds with some really strong Spitfires. They managed to kill Rubber the Monkey very, very fast, even with the death from above coming down onto them.
Yeah, this is not a good time for Infamous Spectre fight though, as Zodiac has very little energy left, so can't really contribute that much to team fights at this moment.
Yep. What I was going to round that off was Scarf managed to stack up his Broken Myth and then came in later on, just after the disengage, with the Dragon's Breath to try and force another couple of kills out. Luckily, Pork Bun got saved by the Arden.
Arden died. I thought that was actually a bit of a risky move. Like, it would have gone really well, which it did. But if it hadn't, I think it could have turned really badly there for Infamous.
Yep. Wow, Zodiac hitting another Spitfire onto Pork Bun. He is just giving him no rest. Now that there's not a turret to fall back on, Pork Bun's going to need to make sure he's got a couple of those Rose Offensive stacks on his ultimate available so that he can escape.
And Rubber Monkey teleporting again. So, Rubber Monkey's lagging a little bit behind. Doesn't really have a tier 3 item and doesn't have that Frostburn, which is very vital for a Sky to have quite early on.
Yep, she has got the items ready to go for it. She's got the tier 2 items, only needs a couple hundred gold, so it's just a case of trying to get into her jungle right now. She did steal a little bit of lane farm, so only 100 gold off right now. But there's the face check, and she's getting absolutely melted here. The death from above comes out to zone them out, but KZ Rihan is coming from behind there to try and finish off the kill.
Obviously, KZ Rihan is one of the most aggressive Koshkas I've seen, and the gauntlet comes out trapping KZ Rihan, but 1,000 just saves in the Dragon's Breath. We can see actually not managing to save her life, but they do pick up 2 kills there onto the Sky. Potentially this could be the ace. The Zodiac has no Spitfires left, but he is able to find enough energy just for one more Spitfire, and that is the ace.
Yeah, that was some questionable plays from MegaEmpire there. I mean, Porkbun was standing on top of one of Scarf's goop puddles for so long and taking so much damage for it. I just think that they didn't need to engage with that gauntlet. They could have maybe picked up 1 kill on the Koshka and then disengaged. That was a good pick for them being behind right now.
Yeah, and that fountain there saved Koshka's life. She was able to do like a little more damage in the last 2 seconds that the fountain gave her. But...
Yep, clutch fountain right there, definitely.
Yep, and there's another fight breaking out right now. Rascal Joraz, Catherine is being caught out by the Sky, and the Black side. KZ Rihan just doesn't seem that bothered, just jungling away by the side.
And Artavos is caught out again. They just seem to be picking on anyone with that Scarf Spitfire. It's hitting everything. I mean, they're absolutely great targeting right now.
And they force him to use this as fountain on himself. His carries aren't the ones that are low, but and there goes Mercy's pursuit on Pork1 stealing, getting a lot of health chunked off there, but Rubber Monkey using his forward barrage is just going to keep them back.
Yep, and Scarf with the Eve of Harvest is just sustaining so much. I think it's a really good counter against this this Black Feather, because those Spitfires coming straight at him whenever he wants to engage being a melee hero are dealing so much damage, and Artavos is taking the brunt of most of it and just hasn't got the levels or the defense to hold up for very long.
Then we can see Infamous Spectre on the Goldman again. Rubber Monkey is coming down though, so I don't know if they'll be able to steal it off. They won't be able to steal it off, and that's a 300 gold payout they're going towards Infamous Spectre. But Zodiac is caught out there, and the gauntlet comes down, trapping him in, but he's trying to escape to the back. And Porkbun actually looks like he might be going down here in the fight, but the Zodiac cannot do much in this team fight. However, he's being chased by Porkbun right now, and he does go down. However, KZ Rihan is still alive, and that is going to be another ace going towards Infamous Spectre.
Yep, good Yume kind of frenzy at the end to close out that ace. Unfortunately, they did lose Zodiac in the team fight because Porkbun, as always, is just diving that backline as hard as possible. I think maybe he could have done a little bit better by focusing KZ Rihan this time instead of going for, instead of diving so hard for the Scarf. KZ Rihan was left very, very low after Rubber the Monkey had a couple of good forward brushes landing. But just whenever Koshka moved out of the forward brush, she was perfectly safe. There was no other threat from anywhere else.
Yep, and it doesn't look like they're going to be able to get that tower off the back of that ace there. So I'm not sure what they could have done in that instance.
After the ace?
Yes.
Well, there was obviously, they've got the minion mine. I'm not sure if that was before or during this. They've got both minion mines now, which is a really nice amount of gold going over to them since that's the first time they've been captured. There was a little bit of farm there they could have taken, but I guess not. I think MegaEmpire really needs to shake things up a little bit. Stop picking all-out team fights. They have been catching people out, but just not managing to pick up those kills. They've got a couple of minutes before Kraken comes out to. They've got a couple minutes before Kraken comes out to. What's the word when you regroup a little bit? Regroup, sorry.
Yeah, well, it's 30 minutes now, and there are over almost 8k ahead in gold. I think there is a chance, and I think MegaEmpire, they're of the caliber that they could actually make a comeback from this with some really, really clever plays. However, I'm not seeing kind of any chance of a comeback right now. They're not really working together. They're not. Their skills aren't synergized. They're not focusing on the same person, and I think they really need to focus on that a little bit more.
Yep. Sky obviously has the damage with Koshka coming up to the 15-minute mark. She is very powerful right now, but if she jumps in first without the help of Scarf and Catherine, then she can take a heck of a lot of damage and die very quickly. We see quite often that teams just bait out the Koshka's jump.
Yes, and if Koshka jumped in on the Black Feather and stunned him, Sky could use her death from above to stun, and it'll be a perfect takedown of that Koshka.
Yep, I think that's why Koshka saved the Yummy Kind of Frenzy so long in that last team fight. Didn't want to be caught out, didn't want to be stuck somewhere that wasn't good for her. And they are putting a lot of damage out onto Catherine. There was a silence, Robert the Monkey taking a lot of damage from Kizzy Rehan, and Porkbun now standing in a Dragon's Breath, having to Rose Offensive out, trying to escape, but there's the Yummy Kind of Frenzy. Reflex block was a little bit too late. And Archboss as well is taking a lot of damage. There's the ace going over to Infamous.
Dying right outside that base there. There is a wave of minions, but it looks like they're just going to be tanking that tower, and it's going down very, very fast. Rasputin might survive this one, actually. But
well, they do still have broken mist stacks right now. There's Death from Above coming down. Again, Kizzy Rehan taking a lot of damage from the forward barrage, but there's a fountain pop by Kizzy Rehan. Crystal is open right now, and Zodiac is just battering away at it with those Spitfires. That is game 1 to Infamous.
Very nice play there. I've got to say, Kizzy Rehan on that Koshka is absolutely terrifying.
Yep, they close out games very, very fast. Never at a risk of her dropping off, like I always say. That is the game 1 for Infamous Spectre. So we'll have to see if they can keep that going and win this in a 2-0 sweep.
Yeah, MegaEmpire do have a chance, so if they do win the next game, because it does go to the third game blind pick, but third game blind pick's not always the best, because it does leave some...
It does leave a lot open, yeah. The double crystal did pull through in this occasion. Zodiac had the reflex block and tier 3 boots, so not much more except positioning on his side. Porkbun was trying to dive against him, but with the Eve and with the Broken Myth, that was just already having a couple of stacks before every fight started thanks to hitting those Spitfires. I just think Porkbun didn't have enough going for him and didn't have enough backup to finish him off by himself. Kizzy Rehan with the typical Aftershock and Broken Myth with a fountain. That means they had 2 fountains on their team, which is really, really helpful with those Broken Myths.
So let's get into the second game now. So what did you notice? Did you notice anything in particular about the playstyles of both teams?
Well, like you said near the beginning, there was a very aggressive playstyle from Infamous. That was the attempt. MegaEmpire attempted to counter that. They had a good team comp that would sustain through the early game and still be strong when they wanted their power spike with Black Feather. So I think Infamous just played their comp much better, forced it when they needed to, which is all throughout the first 15 minutes. Towards the end there, they knew that if they were winning and they could force MegaEmpire back into their base, that they could go back to Kraken even and close it out that way. Again, I'm not so sure whether they'll go for the Black Feather lane. Obviously, Infamous did counter that very, very well with those crystal laners, the crystal mages. Scarf is a very hard counter to melee laners because once he gets one Spitfire down, they've got to walk all the way away from him while he's stacking that Fan the Flames.
Yep, let's go into the second game now. Will we be seeing a Koshka ban this time?
I would not be surprised from that. It was Infamous's very first pick just there, and I don't think they'll be giving it over to them anytime soon.
Yep, and that Celeste ban is just coming out again, it looks like.
Yep, they really did not want to be seeing a Celeste. I think we could be seeing the exact same bans here, judging by what we're seeing on the screen just now.
Yep, so that Fortress ban out again. So we've seen a lot of Crystal Fortress in the past few weeks. I think it just started in maybe the round of 16 or the round of 32, and we're like, oh wow, wasn't expecting this. And it's actually worked out very well for some teams. There is a counter to it, but we can also definitely see that some teams do not like playing against Crystal Fortress, and it looks like Infamous Spectre is one of them as they ban him out again.
Yep, I think being the higher seeded team, they're obviously just sitting there saying, okay, we don't need the more powerful heroes to win this. Like, we already have the higher skill, higher mechanical skills as well. Like, we can win this just based on normal comps, normal heroes. We can outdraft them. I'd say that's their plan right now, rather than risking them having such a powerful hero. So it looks like MegaEmpire have picked up the Koshka first of all. Infamous have countered that with a Glaive and Arden probably a Glaive in the jungle, but the good thing about Glaive is he is also a bit of a flex pick because he could go into the lane if needed.
Yeah, it was really nice denying KZ Rihan off that Koshka. But I think I do remember KZ Rihan on that Glaive as well, and he's also very, very aggressive on that Glaive. So
Well, you can't forget the mobility that for Afterburn provides. Looks like they're going to be rounding off with a Vox, which is probably, hopefully will work for them. I'm not too sure because we did see a Vox game yesterday where the Vox just got caught up in all these melee brawls because he was getting dived so hard from the likes of Koshka and Blackfeather, who have so many gap closers. Vox does not want to be anywhere near that. He's going to be on the fringes using his Sonic Zoom to reposition around the team fight rather than in the middle. He's going to be leaving everyone as much as possible, while all these melee heroes are stuck on each other. So I think Arden's going to be a big factor in this, and Glaive's Afterburn to help peel for Vox.
yep. So that's that Vox pick. What are your thoughts about the Vox?
I think it's very smart, especially against the pick of Blackfeather on Pork Bun on Blackfeather, because he's going to need the late game if he's going for that Crystal Vox build, and he's not going to have too much of a threat from a lane Blackfeather. Obviously, it's not like going up against a Ringo where you're constantly pushed under your turret. If Pork Bun wanted to push him back, he's going to have to go under turret aggro, so it's pretty safe for Zodiac to farm up. He's going to take a little bit of poke damage from the from Blackfeather's B skill, but apart from that, he should be pretty safe.
Yep, and it looks like we could be seeing a skirmish in the jungle as both teams, both the jungler and the supporter, and we see Rascal Joe running in there. Archibald's taking a little bit of damage. Rubber Monkey having to run away already, but Archibald looks like he might not make it through with that very nice afterburn coming up from KZ Rehan. So the first death of the game is by the Catherine.
But there's Zodiac caught. It looks like Pork Bun was dealing a lot of damage in the meantime in that lane skirmish, and Rubber the Monkey just had to jump in at the end for an easy pickup on the kill. If Pork Bun rotates down, they could probably win a 2v2 here because they are against a level 1 Arden. But the Glaive is just being an absolute menace, lurking away down there with the help of Rascal. They're probably going to secure a little bit of the front camps from MegaEmpire here, but I'm not too sure. It looks like they're going to rotate down by themselves and just go for their own jungle. And winning against the Koshka early game is going to be a victory for them.
Yep, and it does look like they're all three members of MegaEmpire were a bit wary of that Glaive there.
Yep, it was definitely a very good early game for him. Winning against that Koshka is going to give them so much confidence and dent MegaEmpire so much. We did see them come back from behind. It was a 1-1 and they won the final third match. So they're used to losing a match and having to come back. It's not going to be too much of a mental dent to them. But right now, just after losing so badly to a Koshka, now they're trying to use it for themselves, and losing the early game team fights is not looking good for them.
It looks like we would be seeing another gank, and we've seen the Merciless Pursuit coming out, and Catherine does have to turn back and stun a minion instead. So it looks like Zodiac is going to be just surviving. It's going to be able to survive for another minute or so, at least.
Now, it looks like one thing that I was looking for, which is a really small thing, but KCV Hand does look like he's going to be leveling up the Afterburn first. It will mean it's up more often, but I'm personally a big fan of leveling up Glaive's B skill because it means you've got a giant burst of damage if you're going for something like a Solar Blade early. You get a basic attack, followed by a crit, followed by another basic attack, and with B skill leveled up, that just adds even more damage and the more chance of critting in the middle of fights, more AoE damage.
KZ Hands definitely looks like he's just trying to be a nuisance to everyone with his afterburn rather than try and deal damage.
Yep, well, like I said at the beginning, he's going to need to peel for Vox, so I'm not surprised by that. Vox is going to be getting having trouble from Blackfeather and Koshka the whole time. Catherine could lock him down, but it looks like he's definitely ready with boots quite often. He's now upgraded to tier 2, so hopefully not going to be getting caught out anytime soon.
And also, he's against triple melee as well. It'd be very easy for him just to apply the resonance bounces to them.
Yep, it means that they've got to come to him, and whenever they get too close, he's got the Arden, he's got the Glaive. It's a well thought out team comp, and I'm very sure that Infamous can pull it off.
Yep, and it looks like Koshka just does not want to fight. We're seeing her jump straight in and then just jump straight back out as KZ Rehan just gives her a hit. Archibald is the one that takes a lot of damage there. And And Rubber Monkey just kind of lunges there for Rascal's, who's actually looking a little bit low there, but they are forced to back up as all three members of MegaEmpire are looking a little bit low.
I think everyone took a fair amount of damage there. KZ Rehan looking the healthiest right now. Zodiac was a little bit too far forward, but it looks like Rascal has taken the brunt of everything so far.
Yeah, but now it looks like Glaive and Arden will be just going through MegaEmpire's jungle, just trying to starve them off any farm, which is not very good for Koshka.
No, definitely not, because she needs to be able to pose a threat to Zodiac, or he's just going to be wrecking her face every time she jumps in. There was a lucky moment in the last team fight for Pork Bun where there was no resonance and Zodiac used his Sonic Zoom, so could have been much worse for MegaEmpire there, but I think both teams made it out. Just getting a feel for how the team plays are going to pan out, just getting a little bit more comfortable into this second game.
So far a very different game from what we saw last time. Last time I think at this point there was about 5 or 6 kills.
Yep, very slow start, you're right.
Rubber Monkey kind of going up to the lane there, but there is a scout trap. Zodiac gets stunned, but it doesn't look like any of MegaEmpire are keen to engage in this.
Yeah, I just think that this Koshka play is very different from KZ Rehan's. KZ Rehan would be looking for any bursts of damage possible. He'd be like jumping in, pouncy fun, twirly death, and get back out. He's got the speed boost, he can leave. Even taking one turret shot isn't the end of the world. Only has a Catherine to back him up, so not like Arden or anything, but looks like Zodiac is coming out from above. Artifos is caught out a little bit, wasted his Stormguard shield there. Porkbun also gets the afterburn, but uses boots to get back out. Rubber the Monkey did make enough of a distraction to help Porkbun escape there, and Porkbun will be coming up to the lane while Infamous rotate down to get this first gold mine.
I don't know how much gold it's worth at this point, and they are actually covering that part. But you know, it's going to get widen that gold lead a little bit more. So I think they're around
180, I'd guess.
Yeah, 180. Okay.
Oh, 150.
So there are now like 2.3k ahead of gold at 6 minutes. It's actually that gold lead is increasing a little bit more every single time. And I think that is because, you know, they just got the gold mine. KZ Rehan's doing a very good job of just kind of staying in Koshka's jungle and just taking the farm whenever he sees a good opportunity.
Yep, he is going for that tension bow early, so without well, Porkbun has gone for a lot of health, so I'm just not sure whether it's the best decision against him, but Rubber Monkey is getting forced back very quickly with the combination of crit and extra damage from Glaive's B skill there. Like I said, she's not being as aggressive as she maybe needs to, so it's just allowing Glaive to farm up, steal her jungle, and they've gotten gold mine off the back of that, and things won't be looking good for their late game.
Yeah. So you know, Koshka's got her level 6 now. That's such a good skill, and I think if she can land it on the Vox, it could be very good for them. And you know, they can start maybe swinging the fight. And we're seeing Artivos taking a little bit of damage there as all 3 members of Infamous are kind of just lurking in that lane there.
Yep, it just goes to show that they are getting more of their kills on Artivos than anyone else. There's Yummy Kind of Frenzy onto Zodiac. He go down to half health. Rubber Monkey caught out by the afterburn there. It looks like Porkbun's going to be diving, takes 2 turret shots and has to run away over a scout trap. Doesn't manage to take the damage from it, and Artivos is underneath his own turret, but Arden is rotating down. There's Rascal coming down onto Porkbun, and they're just going to be using the gauntlet to stun and almost finish him off. And that was just using everything that Arden had to make sure he got that kill on Porkbun.
Very nice. I think that was worth it for them to get the kill onto Porkbun there.
Yep. I'd say the team fight was going quite well until that point for MegaEmpire. It wasn't so bad. They had managed to lock down Zodiac. Koshka did take a lot of damage. Didn't manage to make it out. I thought she was going to be able to run away, but she just stayed a little bit too long. Didn't have the faith in her teammates to finish off that kill, I'd say.
Yep, and Zodiac is pushing quite far up in lane, but I see as Porkbun has returned, he is going to be pulling back just the safety of his own turret, especially with a Catherine there in that lane bush waiting to catch him off guard.
I would say that Infamous right now, you can just tell that they've got the plan of go for anyone that is available. There's the afterburn onto Porkbun right now, uses Ghost Fence, but goes down in the last second there. Rubber Monkey's coming in as well, but Artivos is also low health. And what I was going to say is, anytime that they see someone caught out, like Artivos just there, they will put out as much damage as they can. They don't really mind who the kill is going on to. If they can make it a 3v2, even if it's against the 2 carries that are left, they'll be going for it.
And that turret is now going down. So that's giving another lead again to Infamous Spectre. So increasing that gold lead now to 4k at 8 minutes.
Yep. Like I said, things aren't looking good. Vox that's getting and not even got any kills actually so far. But it's the Glaive who's 4-0-0 and already building some crit into his kit.
I've noticed one thing about Infamous Spectre is that once they get that first turret down, the rest of the game does go very fast for them. They really know how to take advantage of that missing turret.
Yeah, well, they already have a good amount of scout traps down into the enemy jungle, cementing that positional advantage with the turret down. There's not even any attempt by Artavos to try and get rid of these. He's putting offensive flares that are not really hitting the scout traps in enemy bushes either. So I'm not 100% sure of how strong the defense is right now. They've lost that one turret, and same as last game, like you're saying, the game ended very, very quickly. Zodiac is caught out a little bit here. There is the stun, and Yummy kind of frenzy down onto him. He's gone down very, very low, but there's a boost, and goes down first. Rub the Monkey also died, but Port Bun is very low. It's 1-on-1 against the Glaive here, pretty much. Kizzy Rehan also low, and there comes the Merciless Pursuit, which goes onto a minion. Kizzy Rehan turning around, hoping they can maybe finish this ace.
It was a very nice silence there from Catherine. I just don't think they had enough damage to actually finish off KZ Rehan there, which is a problem. KZ Rehan going in and actually might go down to the turret, but a very nice Vanguard there coming up from Rascal.
Ooh, that was incredibly close. I think he was bargaining on Arden having his back, and he timed his he calculated his health perfectly to take one turret shot from that. They could get gold mine again here though, but it looks like KZ Rehan doesn't want to risk standing on a scout trap and handing over a free kill.
Probably a good idea at this point. So we're seeing him picking up the Tyrants here. So he's got Tyrant, Small Bow, and Attention Bow. What are your thoughts on this build?
Definitely liking that Tyrants. He's going to be wanting to crit from massive numbers AoE. With 2 melee heroes, he can do so much damage to even the non-primary targets. So the one thing he's got to watch out for is Catherine Stormguard. Maybe they could probably kill himself and his teammates if he does too much. But with the Tension Bow, he has got the single target damage still, which is very strong. Like I was saying, would have worked with Swordblade the exact same way. Some people just have different preferences. I never calculated the numbers, so it could just be the Tension Bow is a better pickup.
Yep, and looks like they're going to be going for that gold mine again. 11 minutes. I think the Kraken will be, they're trying to get as much gold as they can before that Kraken comes out. But we do see MegaEmpire coming down, but it's not quite enough as he managed to get the gold mine in time. So it looks like we'll be seeing another skirmish in time. They're just focusing on the Rascal there. But it looks like Infamous Spectre are now just turning back, and it looks like they're the ones that are wanting to engage.
Yep, and like I was saying, they managed to catch out Artavos. There comes the silence from Artavos.
There also comes the silence from the Catherine, and it's very difficult to see, but Vox is the one to go down, but so is Koshka. Now, Porkbun is the only one left alive with very low health. The Gauntlet does come down, trapping him inside out because he does not have that reflex block, but he uses his Rose Offensive to get out, and that denies him the ace.
But KZ Rehan is coming from underneath again, looking for another one of those dives. He missed out on the Catherine last time, and he wanted to try and give Black Feather this time.
Yes, so he's just getting their minions again. Koshka's at 45 farm. KZ Rehan is at 82.
Wow, that is incredible right now. It's almost double, and after this jungle clear, he will probably be at double the farm of a Koshka, which I think just goes to show that Infamous are leading this game very strongly. One thing that was quite nice that last fight was the silences timed by both teams there. I think everyone was silenced for a couple of seconds each.
Yeah.
But Vox just getting so targeted so hard. That's why KZ Rehan's numbers look amazing. 88 farm, 8-0-0. They're just not caring about him, and that is their problem right now. They're focusing everything on Vox and using absolutely everything to take him down. They have nothing left at the end of it.
And I do like how KZ Rehan has that Aegis now. Very good frontline defense item.
Yep, possibly they're going to try and shift a lot more of the focus onto KZ Rehan by putting him up front, letting Zodiac hang out in the back for a little while longer before he comes in to try and help him survive these team fights, because he's going to need to survive and get a little bit of gold for himself for later on. He has got a decent amount of items so far, going for an Eve, trying to sustain through this initial burst. I think he needs to get his reflex blocks on. His timing of his reflex blocks a little bit better. Obviously silenced in the last team fight, so nothing against him for that one.
And I think things are stalling a little bit again in the gameplay, as everything is just coming to a little bit to a halt, I would say.
Infamous managed to close out games very fast after taking the first turret, she says.
Well, that's what I've seen from them every single... The only other games I've seen them play, they finished in like 10 minutes.
It's just very calculated right now. I like that. They're seeing that they could lose a team fight, so they're not going to risk that. Zodiac is going down very fast, like I was saying, so they're not willing to risk losing him early and having to fight a 2v3.
And I like how they're stalling the lane. They're denying Pork Bun any more farm.
Yep, the members of MegaEmpire are, well, they were slightly behind. They were level 9 while KZ Rehan was level 11, so they could have taken advantage of those levels a little bit more. Zodiac is 11 himself, and they're forcing MegaEmpire up a little bit further each time. You just see MegaEmpire like slowly edging their way up. They know how much farm's going to waste, and it's just like breaking their hearts, I think.
Yep, and they are, I think they're just forced to stay behind the turret, you know. Nobody's getting any farm. Koshka's a little bit reluctant to go into her own jungle. She's kind of wanting to stay with her, you know, carry in case he gets caught out. And, you know, even though they're even not at the lane, he is still scared to go pick up his farm.
Yeah, well, it's just pushing further and further now. And Zodiac looks like he's going to be caught. There's the reflex block to stop the Catherine stun. But Pork Bun going all the way in, blocks the gauntlet wall. But it looks like Zodiac is the first one to go down. Glaive uses the afterburn to peel away, but both carries of MegaEmpire are very healthy right now. Pork Bun's going to dive even further into KZ Rehan. I think this is a bad move though. KZ Rehan goes down and Pork Bun is going to escape, I think. Takes a couple of turret shots and is very low health right now. Arden did teleport home, but there's the first turret possibly going in MegaEmpire's favor.
Yep, I think that's the first time we actually saw a fight going into their favor. And what went right there for them?
Well, they finally got the confidence to push up. Saw that the gold mine was about to pay out, saw the payout was had just triggered, saw Vox by himself, so they knew exactly where everyone was by the timing of those messages. It's very good communication to know to go for him straight away. There was no hesitation. They used everything, managed to get him stunned, managed to waste the reflex block with the Catherine stun, followed that up with Black Feather diving very hard, and then managed to burst him down because he still only has that reflex block. So when they put out all their damage on that single target, he is not going to be surviving for very long.
Yep, and that Kraken is now open. Do you think they will be seeing an early Kraken take at this point?
Well, although that teamfight did go in MegaEmpire's favor, Infamous do still have the positional advantage, the gold advantage right now. Vox hit level 12, has a broken myth now as well. So I think that they will be looking for a team fight of their own. MegaEmpire are roaming a little bit better as a 3 right now. I'm not sure what KZ Rehan is doing down in the shop there.
Yeah, it's a bit of a 2v3 situation, but it looks like he's actually just going to go back to the shop.
Yep. Infamous have to be very careful right now. If Vox gets caught out again, this could be disastrous for them.
Yep, KZ Rehan is now here with the weapon infusion in hand for the team fight. And we're seeing Rascal George coming forward with the blood for blood there.
And it looks like Pork Bun has double infused right now. I don't recall whether he had those for the last team fight. That could have been what swung it in their favor. He's going to need to get a little bit more out of those to make it worthwhile though.
Yep, and things are stalled at the turrets again. It looks like both teams are readying themselves from the fight. I think the Zodiac is a little bit too ahead, and we see Rubber Monkey jumping straight in, but the Rubber Monkey takes a lot of damage there, and Zodiac is backing off to a very safe distance, and the Gauntlet comes out, trapping all 3 members into the silence. The wait for it comes from Zodiac comes out, but doesn't actually deal that much damage onto the members of MegaEmpire, and Rubber Monkey with the Yummy Cat Frenzy onto the Zodiac, but he just kind of ends up killing himself with that, to be honest. Artavos now the only one left alive as Rascal Jor tries his best to pick up the kill there, but I don't think he will be doing that.
No, just as the Storm Guard comes up, it looks like they will be going for this turret instead. It was good focus onto Zodiac, but you saw Rubber Monkey trying to use Yummy Cat Frenzy, but he used it through the gauntlet wall and stunned himself, and with Glaive right on top as well. Both Koshka and Vox were technically stunned because the Yummy Cat Frenzy seemed to go through. But yeah. KZ Rehan was on top of Rubber Monkey there, and while they were both stunned, just managing to kill us very easily without any threat.
So that fight was going into Infamous Spectre's favor now.
Yep, I would just say that was a little bit of poor play from the Koshka. She was not targeting too well, used her pauldrons very well on KZ Rehan in the middle of the fight. If they just turned the focus onto him, you saw, like you said, the wait for it came out, but it didn't deal a lot of damage. They could have just held off for a couple of seconds, tried to put out as much damage onto the Glaive, finish him off, and then jump back on Zodiac. He was just running away far too much for them to chase. Even if they disengaged that fight, it was a victory for them. They'd managed to waste a lot of the skills of Infamous.
Yep, and Koshka now with the infusions as well as the Black Feather. So I think they've got the infusion advantage right now. The fight is breaking at Rascal Jor right in the middle of all 3 of them, and the Yummy Cat of Friends coming out onto Zodiac, which I think he does manage to block actually. and now he is on outside off the gauntlet using the wait for it, actually not managing to pick up the kill onto the Koshka there. Artavos looking very, very low himself, and Pork Bun is now also on the run, and this could be a game-changing fight there for Infamous as they pick up the ace.
What you did see there was some really, really good play from Zodiac, utilizing the gauntlet wall to perfection. He was going in and out and in and out of it, so when Porkbun wanted to stick on top of him, he had to use his Rose Offensive every single time. And when the Rose Offensive stacks, like when he didn't have any more Rose Offense uses, he ended up stunning himself on the gauntlet wall, and by that time, Koshka had already been taken down by Glaive. Tension Bow and a couple of crits are enough to deal with her. She has got the pauldrons, but I think it's Koshka going down in these early game fights way too easily because they're not getting the same burst potential that they've had previously right onto Zodiac. He's being much more, he's being babysat much more from Arden with the gauntlets and the boosts to get him a little bit of extra movement speed.
I think all the pieces caught KZ and Rastajor are a little bit caught out as a 3v2 situation, but the Zodiac is joining them using his resonance points and with a wait for it, dealing a lot of damage there onto MegaEmpire. The Yummy kind of friends and landing on the Zodiac again, but Rubber Monkey looks like he's going to be the one that's going to go down first. And Pork Bun is the next to fall. And again, Artavos is the last one left, and that hands him another 8 going towards Infamous Spectre.
Yep, you do see a breaking point on KZ Rehan now on that Glaive, and there was 12 stacks, I believe, in the middle of that team fight, probably around the highest point, so his peak of 12 stacks. You just saw Koshka getting absolutely melted by that.
Yeah, but it looks like this could be game now. 20-minute game, a lot longer than the last time, but they are finally closing out the game, and it looks like Infamous Spectre are going to be the ones that will be moving forward into the semi-finals next week.
Yep, congratulations, Infamous Spectre, our first semi-finalists of the day. That was a very good match by MegaEmpire. They definitely managed to pull it back and give us a much stronger showing for the second game, holding off Infamous Spectre for a lot longer this time, but it looks like the inevitable happened. Although there was potential for a little comeback there, Koshka was just dropping off too much and couldn't do a lot in those fights. So congratulations, and we will have a quick look at those item builds.
Yep, so look at the use of infusions in that last fight from Infamous Spectre. You know, there's 5 infusions between them.
Yep, there was Arden with the double infusions. We might have seen a couple of them wear off in the meantime. You do see them wear off on the scoreboard, unfortunately. But you see the standard build from Pork Bun. It worked from the last round, but it just looks like Infamous were ready for that. They probably watched the footage, knew exactly how he played, what he was going to do, picked laners that could deal with that, and that, I think, is exactly what turned it in their favor.
Yep, and just looking at all that crystal defense coming out from the Zodiac, they were just really just trying to get some defense for that Koshka there.
Yep, well, like I was saying, Koshka dropped off, didn't do that much damage in the late game, and that's because they were just peeling for Zodiac so much. And meanwhile, whenever Koshka tried to jump on Zodiac, it didn't seem like Pork Bun was there at the same time. They weren't synergized quite enough. There was a couple of fights where it went incredibly well, like all credit to them. They had some really good team fights, especially near the middle when that lane was getting stalled against them. Things didn't look great there. Then they had the potential for a comeback, but it just looks like Infamous did shut them down, and once they got a couple of good team fights, managed to close out the game.
Yep, so that is the first game off today with the win going towards Infamous Spectre. Commiserations to MegaEmpire, but they made it very far.
Yep, I think getting to the quarterfinals is very difficult at this stage. Semifinals are going to be the best 4 teams in the region. So, I mean, being within the top 8 is still incredibly a big achievement. We are going to see 3 more semi-finalists put through today, who you will see play against each other next weekend. Next match will be Infamous Stigma against
Paradox Insomnia X. So stay tuned. We'll be taking a 5-minute break as we try and get the teams into the lobby.